With the college football playoff less than a week away, there are several questions that need to be answered going forward. Several teams that go into this weekend as underdogs with not very much of a chance, whether it's by Vegas or the experts, to pull an upset and move forward, let alone win a national championship. I will tell you how the Clemson Tigers can not only pull the upset this weekend, but could possibly win the whole thing. Stay tuned and see how Mr. CeeLo maps it out on Gridiron Gab Triple Option. Welcome back, all you gabbers. Thanks for tuning in with us on this very soon-to-be busy week for us on Gridiron Gab Triple Option. I am the one and only Mr. CeeLo here, and guys, we are right here where we've been wanting to be for almost the better part of almost a year when they announced that they were going to go fully to this type of format, that it was official. But I hope you guys are doing great. Hope things are going well for you. And there are quite a few responses I got from the Indiana take. I actually had someone laugh at it on the Facebook group that I shared it on. But like I said, they apparently deleted it. But we are going to go through as always. My man Brad once again giving me the lowdown on what he saw, as he believes Indiana is going to beat us, but you see he didn't say they were going to beat Georgia. I hate to break it to you. If they beat us, they definitely beating y'all.
Damn you!
So yeah, that with that being said, yeah, if they beat us, they definitely beating y'all. They go into South Bend and beat us, they gonna beat you on a neutral site.
Bruh.
But let's get into the Clemson Tigers and its path to a national championship. Basically, all of these shows, I am going to give you ways and how every team's path to a national championship could play out, and the way it looks. And I'm taking the best matchups for this team. Not to say that these paths couldn't go differently, but I'm just laying out the easiest paths for them, or that have the highest probability of success. Now, Clemson's a different football team as we get started on this. They're a different team because right now they're coming into their own. And I watched Acho, and like I said, I don't put a lot of stock in what Acho says. There's a lot of things that he says that they're just laughable. And, you have to kind of look at this and you have to say, okay, Clemson's got the Longhorns. Okay. Now, in my opinion, now Brad's not going to like what I got to say, but I still believe Texas is a better football team than Georgia. Georgia just, when you beat somebody twice by the numbers like they did, a lot of that's the luck of the draw. I mean, just like Georgia fans say they beat Georgia Tech. Does that mean Georgia Tech gets on the field with Texas, they beat them? Hardly. I look at this game and I say to myself that Sark is going to learn about several things that he's made mistakes on. The one thing he's made a mistake on is he's given up on the run, and they've not been very creative with the run, which is something I have said that Notre Dame has not done. They've not been creative with their running game, and the reality of it is when you continuously give a football team opportunities, easy opportunities to play around with you, it's going to cause you some problems. You have to be in a situation where you're comfortable with doing different things with the run game. If you want to be one of those teams where running the football is offensive maintenance, have at it. But don't sit here and be upset because your running game is not doing what certain teams are doing at another level. There are teams that sell out with the run. They basically say in a nutshell, this is where we're going to be. This is how we're going to be. They run a lot of simple passes. That's what their maintenance of their offense is these short, intermediate passes, whether they're over the middle, to the outside, or just simple screens. They use passing part of their offense as their maintenance to keep people off of them. But let's get into it. The two games that Clemson Tigers are not going to be able to find their way out of is going to be the battle between Texas and Arizona State. These are two games they're not going to be able to find their way out of. Now, Clemson has become very much a balanced offense, and I will just tell you, do I think Clemson has gotten so much better? Absolutely. But here's the truth behind all of this. I do not think, however, that Clemson has done anything different on either side of the ball. I do think Cade Klubnik has gotten better, but then let's back up. Let's back up a little bit here. Klubnik's been great against bad defenses. I mean, you look at the game against SMU. SMU's defense does what it has to do. They will come in and they will get stops. But the reality of it is you needed turnovers. That's what you're going to have. I mean, we look at their scoring. They average 37.5 a game. They've got 63 total touchdowns. They've got 317 first downs. And when you look at how Cade Klubnik has come along, as I said, this is a team and a quarterback that has played exceptionally well against inferior opponents. We saw him not do well again in that Louisville game. And that's the thing. To me, they're playing a Texas defense that is going to fly around the ball. Phil Maffa is going to have to be at the top of his game for them to win this football game. And I look at the way Georgia played Texas, and they were able to run the ball efficiently. Klubnik is not going to be a factor, in my opinion. I think he has a good game, but he's not going to have one of those 300-yard games that we're seeing because Texas likes to send the pressure. I think they give I think Phil Maffa becomes a huge part in this game. And Texas still, in my opinion, they have not established the running game. This is the problem with them. And I think ultimately this is where they get beat at. They're not going to be able to do what they need to do. And ultimately it's going to be very, very, very damaging to them. They have to be able to run the football. And I'm talking about Texas. And ultimately, I think what happens is Maffa goes off and they're able to do just enough. Klubnik's able to do just enough, not lose the game. Then you got Quinn Ewers. I think Clemson gets after Ewers. And I think what we end up seeing out of Ewers is he's rushed and he makes some bad throws and bad decisions. And I think ultimately they're going to get Clemson gets a turnover. And they're able to take it back to the house. That's going to be the difference. I think this game is going to be one of those games where it's a one-possession game. And Clemson's able to do what they did against SMU. They're able to eke it out, either with a late touchdown, and they slow down Texas at the end, and it just runs out of time. So that's how Clemson is able to get through round one in their perfect scenario. It's not quite as easy as Acho is making it seem. And then you come in and they're going to go to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl against Arizona State. And I think a lot of people are overlooking Arizona State. They really are. I think Clemson's able to execute in the front seven. They're going to bring a lot of guys to slow down this Arizona State running attack. If you can do that, if you can get Scatterbo in check. Now, don't forget, their quarterback is very mobile too. He's got some wheels to go too, and he's able to throw the ball down the field, and supposedly their number one option is going to be back. However, I think Clemson's run game is going to be very, very dangerous for Clemson. I think what's going to happen is they're going to get a couple of shots down the field. Arizona's going to be unable to recover, and I think Klubnik does have a great game here. Now, however, this is where Dabo and Clemson's got to be careful. Arizona likes to bring the pressure. If they can run at it, Klubnik doesn't make any mistakes, in which I don't think Klubnik's going to be the guy that's going to win this game for them. I think ultimately what's going to win this game for Clemson is play action pass. You're going to see an overzealous Arizona State defense. They're going to miss assignments, and Clemson's going to take advantage over the top. Ultimately, Phil Maffa puts the brakes on Arizona State because they start running the football themselves. This is the most important thing that Clemson can do. Get ahead. They get ahead. It takes away Scatterbo, and Arizona State can't do what they want to do. They get into a straight-up all-pass mode, and it's not what you want. Granted, Scatterbo is very good with the football in his hands in any case, whether it's in the open space, and that's what Arizona State's going to want to do. They're going to want to get him in space, but I think with the athletes that Clemson Tigers have, I think it's going to be too much, and they're going to be able to move on past Arizona State. Now, here's where things get interesting. In a perfect world, you ultimately would like to face, sorry, Robbie, the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, the reason why I say the Tennessee Volunteers is a lot of people are going to say, well, why wouldn't you say Ohio State? Well, Ohio State's got a lot of speed. Now, here, Nico Iamaleava is a guy that he's not consistent, and Clemson has a very good pass rush. I think if you can get the Tennessee Volunteers in a situation where they have to make decisions. Now, a lot of people would probably say Oregon because Oregon showed that they can't stop the run in certain cases, but I will say this. Do I think Tennessee has a weakness there? Absolutely. I think Tennessee has a weakness when it comes, because if Phil Moffitt is a lot like Tennessee's running back. If they can get this guy going downhill, Tennessee does not have a lot of guys on that back end that's built to stop a huge running back. Then the Georgia game proved that. And ultimately, Clemson is going to be able to get pressure. The big deal is whether or not Tennessee can speed that tempo enough to go head up. Now, Clemson can slow the pace down. That's what they're capable of doing with this Tennessee offense. If they can slow the pace down with Phil Maffa, which I believe they can, the scenario is that you want to be able to run the ball with Maffa and wear this Tennessee defense down, as well as keeping Iamaleava and that offense off the field. When you're able to do that, the defense gets settled, gets rest, and their offense gets cold. And then on top of that, Tennessee's defense really starts to get wore down, and then Maffa becomes way more efficient in the fourth quarter, which I think he does, which is going to allow the Clemson Tigers to continuously lay on top of the Tennessee defense, and then Iamaleava gets no rhythm, and they try to make a run at him late, but unfortunately, Clemson's front four and front seven is fresh, and this allows them to get after Iamaleava, and ultimately they're not able to do what they need to do, and you see that the Clemson Tigers are able to move on to the national championship game, which in a perfect world, many of you would probably call me crazy if I said that it needs to be either SMU or Indiana. I think everybody is thinking that that's what it needs to be. Now, in a perfect world, I would say it needs to be Georgia, so Clemson would have a chance opening kickoff versus Georgia. I would say Georgia under one pretense is that if Georgia was able to get all the way to this point, you could argue if Carson Beck's not playing, that's who you want. It would be such sweet poetry to get Georgia and win the national championship. But if it's national championship or bust you're looking for, then in reality you wouldn't want SMU again. A lot of people are going to say no, you do not want that headache again. I would say you would want Indiana, because the reality of it is Indiana is a team that they throw it all over the field, but you can get pressure with four guys, and then Indiana hasn't shown they can stop the run efficiently. So needless to say, this would be an easier matchup. But if you want the hard way to go, and this is the way I would look at it, if you want the hard way to go, you want the dogs. You really want the dogs, because the reality of it is you got embarrassed week one. And I will say this, Clemson is a different football team, but that same football team that showed up and got beat by South Carolina, I will say their quarterback is a different beast. He is a different animal than what Carson Beck is. And needless to say, as I said, if it had to go that way, that's where I say Clemson wins the national championship, is that route. And many of you are going to be like, oh, man, please, really? But, of course, you know about Texas and Arizona State. And then you would say the next round you go Tennessee. And then in a perfect world, you want to finish win the national championship with Georgia. But if you just want the ring, the simplest way to go, I'd say Indiana. But guys, let me know what you think about the perfect bracket which sees the Clemson Tigers winning a national championship. Do you think there was another easier matchup for the Clemson Tigers? Do you think the way I laid out the teams that are there are incorrect? Do you think the way I laid out the matchups are incorrect? Do you think there's no chance for Clemson to win a national championship? Please leave all of those in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you subscribe, make sure you hit the ring notification as well as making sure you put your name down in the comments so I know who you are. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. Make sure you go to the Facebook page, join a Gridiron Gab Triple Option, the group, and then make sure you're linked up with Gridiron Gab Triple Option, the Facebook page. Also, go to my Instagram. Let me know, find out the things that I'm involved in and caught up in, like my man Brad. But until the next time, same Gab channel, same Gab platform.